Hey everybody, it's Sneaky Pete, and today we're going to be doing the review of the Crafty by Storz Bickel. So this is something that I've been very excited about for a long time. As soon as this came out, I really wanted to get it, but I have it in my hands now, and I've been using it for a number of weeks. And a lot of things I'm really impressed about with this unit. Some things aren't amazing, but overall, yeah, it scores pretty high, so let's get into it. So let's go over quickly what you get when you buy the unit. If you want to see this in detail, you can check out the unboxing video. I go over everything in really good detail there. So you're going to get this quick start manual. Quick start manual is kind of nice because for some people you don't want to read the entire instructions, or at least you don't want to read it all at the same time. So this is just kind of a 6-step how to use it, all its basic functions, and this will definitely get you going. It also has another 6 steps on the back: dismantling, cleaning, replacing. So this really probably is all the information that 75% of people are ever going to want to see. But if you do want to see more information, they have a very comprehensive instruction manual. So very impressed with this instruction manual. Like, it has everything. There's a few different languages in here, so it's not like it's, you know, actually 30 pages, but for the English section, okay, no, so it's about 33 pages per language, right? So this is a pretty comprehensive manual, and this has all the information that you're going to want to know in great detail. So great job with both of these manual choices. So this I'm very glad to see, just a little kit of extras. I believe this is one of every gasket for extra. You've also got 3 different screens, so again, I assume that's one of extra everything. Of course, I haven't had to replace anything yet, you know, that's going to come down the road. And the other thing you get, I'm going to take this out here, is you get the concentrate pad. So this is something similar that you could get for the Volcano. They include this now. They didn't include it with the Volcano when I got mine. They might now. But it almost seems like a steel wool sort of a thing, you know, pressed very tightly, but it's this kind of woven material. And you're just going to place your concentrate right on there, and then you can use this as a concentrate device. Or if you don't want to pack a full chamber, you just want to pack a really small amount, then you use this as well. So this is a nice thing to include, and it definitely adds to the functionality of the unit. We'll talk about using it as a concentrate device a little bit later. Now the next thing you're going to get here is you're going to get, these look very similar, right? But this is the grinder here. This is the filling tool. So let's have a look at the grinder. Pretty straightforward little grinder, but I tell you, this works awesome. I've been using this like all the time now. I actually haven't been using my Magic Flight finishing grinder as much, because I find that this, if you just keep going and going and going as much as you want, you can get it almost pulverized to a powder or something like that, right? So this thing works really good, and it's really nice that this is included. So now this also sort of looks like the grinder, but this is a very clever little device. This is called a filling aid. So this has a couple different components, and I'm going to show you very shortly how to use this. Now for the charger, these are my favorite types of chargers here. You can plug into a wall, but it also has the little USB outlet, and then you can plug this right into the charger. Or, if you want, you can plug this into your computer, or into a USB power pack, or into anything that has a USB charging port. An airplane, you know, if you have this in there for some reason. So, I mean, this is the best way to go with the charger. I'm always happy to see this. Now, let's talk about the unit itself. As you can see, it's not huge. Like, here it is against my iPhone 6. Kind of give you a sense of how big it is. This isn't a 6 Plus, of course. This is a 6. So, you know, it's definitely not huge, but it has some size, and it feels nice in your hand, right? Really quality materials that they're working with here. I have no reservations about sucking out of this plastic or having this plastic around heat. On the manual, it says it's food-safe materials, all that sort of thing. So, you know, they definitely chose good for the plastics and all that sort of thing it came with. As you can see here, it's pretty obvious this is the mouthpiece. You've seen me playing with that. Kind of just folds back in there, gives it a nice profile, and then folds out here. It has a small detent in the middle, so you can tell when it's in the middle. This side of the unit here, the fatter side, that's where it pivots, right? So you just kind of go like this and just turn it like that. Very simple. This part comes off here, and in here we have our bowl. So there you go. I mean, that's the unit. That's how it goes together. To put it back together, the exact opposite, of course. Put it there, and then close it. Locks in nicely. That's secure. That's not going anywhere. Now we have one button here. This button does everything. This is how you turn it on, and this is how you engage your booster temperature. And if you want to turn it off, it's this button as well. So very simple design, right? Like, everything's designed, as we're going to get to work with the app, which is an interesting way to go about it. Now on the other side, this looks like a button as well, but what this actually is a little tamping down tool. So this is in here. You can stir your bowl with it. You can kind of tamp it down a little bit. You don't want to go too hard, of course, but to sort of pack everything in there a little bit. And then this thing cleverly hides the little charging port, so you're not going to get any gunk in there, right? So this kind of serves two purposes. In all honesty, I didn't end up using it that much, but it is nice to have. So let's talk about how to use the unit a little bit. Like I said, this filling aid was like one of my favorite parts about this whole thing. It's super straightforward to use. So I like to grind my herb up using the included grinder. I find it works perfectly for this. Just grind it onto a little piece of parchment paper. So getting it from the grinder to the filling aid is, a little bit clunky, but once you have it in the filling aid, loading the bowl is very simple. As you can see, that can hold quite a bit of herb. Like that was a nice sized little bud I put in there. And, I could put 2 or 3 times the amount in here, no problem at all. So what you're going to do then, as you can see, this is just basically comes apart, right? So you can put your herb in there, put this top piece on. Now you've got the unit here. So we're going to put that right onto the unit. It just slides in and then it clicks in. And as you can see, like that's held securely on there, right? That's not going anywhere. So now all you're going to do, I'm going to take out this little middle piece, put any herb in there, and then I'm just going to flick my herb into the chamber. So I'm just flicking it in there till I get as much as I want. Put a little bit more. I think that's a good amount. Now I'm just going to put this middle piece back in. That's going to kind of tamp it down a little bit. I'm going to put this top piece back on here so I can't spill it. Unscrew that, give it a tap. Put that bottom piece back on. So now you've got all of your herb in there. This is completely secure. You can put this anywhere. It's super clean. As you can see, the herb is in there. Perfect level. I'm just going to tamp it down a little bit with my finger. If you want to use the tool, you can definitely use the tool. Tamp it down like that. Works perfectly for there. Wipe that off. Then we're just going to put this back on here. So I've got it this way. There we go. So to use the unit, very straightforward. Open up the little mouthpiece, and I'm going to turn it on, and I'm going to heat it up. So as the unit's heating up, it's going to have a red LED, and then when it's ready, it's going to vibrate to let us know that it's ready. I find that if you put it on like a hard surface, like a table or a desk or something like that, the vibration is going to be pretty strong, and you're going to hear that for sure. So it's definitely going to notify you that it's ready to go. There we go. So the unit is heated up now, and it's ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and have a pull. Now I just find your first hoot from the bowl is going to be quite thin because the herb still is going to heat up a little bit. But I mean, if I let it sit here for 45 seconds, I'm sure it'd be a little bit thicker. But man, oh man, do you ever get a lot of pure flavor from that first hit. I'm going to go ahead and have a second here. So as you can see, significantly more vapor production, and the taste is still amazing. You're getting a little bit of a different taste than that first toke, but I think I like the second toke better actually, and that's going to carry on for the next few tokes here. Whew. Nice little mid-review sesh there. So to turn it off, one of two things. You can just leave it, you can just let it sit for 60 seconds and it's going to turn off, or you can just hold this button down. It's going to go blue to let you know that it's turning off, and then it's going to go ahead and turn off. So there you go. That's how you use it. It's pretty straightforward. Now to charge the unit, that's going to be really straightforward as well. I'm going to take out this little tamping tool. I'm going to plug this in here. That way, and then I'm either going to plug this into the wall directly. I did find that charged faster, as you would assume so, or you can just plug this right into your computer. It does have pass-through charging when the unit has a certain amount of battery. I think it needs to have 20% to have the pass-through charging, like a lot of units do. It can't have the pass-through when it's just completely dead. So when you're charging it, if the battery is between 31 and 60%, the blue will flash rapidly, and if it's between 61 and 96%, the blue will flash slowly. And then if the blue is just completely on, then the device is charged. Now something very unique about this unit, as you can see, like it's got this one button operation sort of idea. So how are you going to change the temperatures? Can you adjust anything? Well, you can adjust a lot of settings on here, and it's through an app. The app is available on iPhone. I believe it's on Android as well. So right now it's saying connection to Crafty being established. And that tells me that my temperature right now is 237, and it's slowly going down as I just used the unit. And I can see my battery is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of 6. And it also tells me what my booster temperature is set to 30 degrees Fahrenheit, higher than I have it set. So I can change the temperature that it's set to when I turn the unit on. Let's see how low it'll go. I'm going to hold down. Let's see. So 104 is the lowest that you can set to. I'm not sure what you're vaporizing at 104 degrees Fahrenheit, but that's the lowest it can go. Now let's see the highest. So this can take a while, I guess, if you're going from the very lowest to the very highest. But once I found the temperature that I liked, I mean, I haven't changed it since. So the highest that you can go is 410. So a huge range on this device. I have my normal set to 355, and I find that to be a very nice temperature. And then I have my booster at 30 degrees more. So if you want to go a little bit higher, you want to push it up to 11, so to speak, hit your booster temperature, and I'll show you how to do that right now, actually. Turn it on. There we go. So that's going to heat up to the 355 degree temperature. If I want to double click this, you can see it's flashing red now. So that's going to go to my higher temperature. So that's going to go to 385 degrees. So that's how you go between your normal temperature and your booster. Very simple. Let's turn that off again. So, and that's updating, you can see it was heating up and now it's starting to cool down again. So, very, very cool there. But what I really like is you can also adjust the LED brightness. When I first got this thing and plugged it in, it was at night, I was watching something in my living room. I had this plugged in my kitchen, and I'm telling you, I thought there was like a police car in my kitchen. The blue light was so bright in the dark. It was insane, but you can adjust that. So I have the LED brightness turned down to almost nothing. If you have it turned up high, I'm telling you, this is super, super bright if you like that. You can turn the lamps off completely, and you can turn the vibration off completely as well. So that's very cool too. If you go to the device settings, it'll tell you the hours of operation, the model, the firmware, the Bluetooth address, and the serial number. It also has included in here, I just really noticed this, it has full instructions, which makes complete sense, but you can just see a PDF of the instruction manual right in the app. Now let's talk about flexibility a little bit. This is among the most flexible vaporizer, like it's up in the category with anything else because you can use concentrates. If you can use concentrates on this, you can also use hash, you can just use straight keef, anything like that. And then of course you can use dry herb, which is really what it's intended for. So flexibility, I mean, you can toss almost anything in this. Has that huge adjustable temperature, so if you want to go really, really low, you can go low. If you want to go high, you can go high. One thing I definitely recommend if you're using concentrates on this, less is more. Don't be putting like a huge glob on here because it's not going to burn like, a nail or an e-nail or a dab pen or something like that. It's just going to kind of settle in here and seep into here and eventually kind of get into your unit if it gets all gunked up and the temperature's not high enough. So just use a little bit on here and then add more if you want to have more tokes. Now I didn't use this a ton with concentrates. I only used it a few times and it performed quite well. It's definitely something that the device is useful for, but if you're going to do a lot of concentrate use, I would get a concentrate designed device. So now let's talk about cleaning the unit. This is definitely going to be more involved than almost any other portable that I can think of. I don't know if it's going to be difficult. I don't know if it's going to take long because I haven't had to do it yet. Similar to my PAX 2 review, I tried to just use it and use it and use it, see if I could just go and go while it gets dirty and it's still functional. And totally, I mean, I've been using this for about a month now, pretty close to a month. And I haven't had to clean it yet, and I get the feeling I could go quite a bit further, but I'm going to show you how to clean it, see how difficult it is for a first-timer to do it, so let's go ahead and clean this. Okay, so we're just going to take this apart here. So now cleaning out this main chamber here where your herb's going to go, just clean that out with a little brush, right? You can just clean a little brush, you can clean around that. You can get in here and change the screen, take out the gasket, all that sort of thing. But, I really don't think that's something that's going to need that much maintenance other than just a good brushing every time you use it. So the first thing, we're going to disattach the mouthpiece from the unit. So just give it kind of a good firm pull. See, there we go. So it's got a little gasket on here. I'm just going to leave this little gasket on for cleaning. So this is called the cap lock here. To get this off, pull it back. Just kind of snap it off there. Okay. Feels a little weird snapping that off for the first time, but I guess it'll probably be easier the second time. So now we're going to pull these two components apart here to get into the guts, I guess. Okay, so those come apart. Oh yeah, so we can see it's definitely gummed up in here, right? Doesn't smell bad or anything. It really, you could probably put that in a pipe, I would bet, just kind of gunky buildup. But as you can see, I probably could have used this for another 2 months and, it wouldn't have built up too much. So that's pretty good. So now I'm going to use the little tool that it comes with for the next step. I'm going to get off these gaskets. There's 2 gaskets here. Let's see, yeah, so touching this, you are going to get your hands a little bit sticky, I guess. I guess you can hold it up here. Maybe I should be doing this a smart way. So I'm going to get this one gasket out of the seal, kind of trying to get in here. Let's see. Okay, so there we go. That gasket out. Now we got to get this other gasket off of here. So I guess the key is to, after you do this once, I'm sure you'll know, but just make sure things go back where they came, right? If you miss a gasket or something like that, obviously that's going to cause problems with your unit. Okay, so got that other gasket there. Okay, perfect. Just pushing that. Okay, so it pops right out. Okay, there we go. So, I mean, you know, not super difficult to take apart. Got my hands a little bit sticky, but, you know, nothing crazy. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to put these in a bowl with some isopropyl alcohol. Now, it does say in the instruction manual a few times, do not submerge the plastic for more than an hour. So, I mean, I'm not going to submerge it for long at all, right? I'll submerge it for, you know, 10 minutes, 15 minutes or something like that. And just keep stirring it around, making sure the alcohol is coming in touch with all the components. And then I'm going to put it back together, and away we go. So, you know, cleaning definitely isn't brutal or anything like that. It's just going to be a little bit more involved than it is with some other units. Okay, so now we've gone over all the functionality of the unit, how to use it, what it does, what it comes with, all that sort of thing. Let's get into the review of the unit. Now, battery life, of course, for a portable unit is a paramount consideration. It's how long can you use it if you're out of the house? How functional is it going to be for you? And battery life on this definitely didn't blow me away. It wasn't terrible, you know, I wasn't disappointed in it or anything like that, but it's definitely not a selling point of the unit. Battery life lasted me probably, you know, 2 or 3 bowls sort of thing, and that's usually 2 sessions per bowl. A little more sometimes, a little less other times, because you're doing more hits in a session, you know, all those sort of considerations. And but you know, it's okay. It's so-so. It does have that auto turn off after 60 seconds, which is nice to minimize battery life. So if you're using the unit consistently and the oven is heating up and then it's cooling down while you use it, the unit will stay on. But if you're longer than 60 seconds between hits, then the unit will turn off, which is a nice feature if, you know, you want to save battery life. But all you have to do is just press the button once while you're using it to tell the unit that it's still on. So battery life, it's okay. Okay, so let's check the heat up time of this unit. This has been sitting for about 30 minutes now, so it's completely cooled down. So let's go ahead and turn it on, see how long it takes to heat up. Now this battery is almost fully charged, and I have this set to 355 degrees. So if you have different settings, your results might vary. So let's go ahead and turn it on. There we go, and we'll see how long it takes to heat up. There we go, and it's heated up. It's definitely on the longer side to heat up. Definitely not, again, a stellar feature on it. Definitely takes longer to heat up than other units I've used. So far after those two categories, it's like, okay, you know, those aren't sounding great. Now let's talk about the vapor quality a little bit. And, you know, I should have some little fireworks going off or something like that. Vapor quality on this, it surpasses, if not matches, the volcano expectations that I had. I was hoping it was like going to be kind of like a volcano, and this thing, the vapor quality is out of this world. Let's talk specifics here. Let's talk about the taste. Super good taste. I was a little worried with the plastic design, plastic mouthpiece, all the plastic components, that you were going to have a little bit of a plastic taste, especially when it heated up. But even from using it the first time, like I let it cycle a couple times. I didn't do my seasoning where I blew through it with some herb or anything like that, because I kind of trusted the manufacturer. And just using it the first time, maybe the slightest bit of a manufacturing taste, and then after that it was completely gone. And the taste is very good on this unit. You know, those first kind of 3 or 4 hits that you're going to take are going to be super flavorful, and then it's going to go downhill from there. You are going to be taking larger tokes than with some other units, so that's going to be a factor as well, right? But the taste is so pure, like you would think it was glass on glass. Of course, this is a convection vaporizer. They call it a semi-conduction vaporizer. It has some conduction elements, but the main heating that's coming is going to be convection vaporization, so, you know, you should get a little bit more of an even taste with that, because there shouldn't be any really hot spots. But the taste is amazing on this unit. Super happy with the taste. The size of the toke is massive. After using something like the PAX 2 especially, the draw resistance on that, as you know, is quite a lot. Like there's just, you have to use it, you kind of sip it, and you know, you couldn't rip on it hard if you really wanted to. With this thing here, like, there's almost no draw resistance. I mean, I have a pretty good set of lungs here, like I can rip it pretty hard, but the draw resistance is minimal. It's very minimal, so that means it's easy to take large tokes. Now, the one caveat to that is the heater on this unit. I can definitely outwork the heater. If I'm doing a longer or a bigger toke, the light's going to go red and the heater's going to start heating up again. So that does kind of put a limit on how big of a hit you can take, but the hits that you can take are so satisfying. They're a great size. They're definitely not too small or anything like that. So the heater kind of coming on, I mean, it was never an issue for me, to be totally honest. I was super happy with the size of the hits that I'm getting from this unit. Now let's talk about the harshness or the smoothness of the unit. It's a superstar. It's absolutely knocks it out of the park. I mean, it's probably the, here we go, it's heated up. Speaking to that, so I was still going, and you could see that red light come on there. So that's an example of what I'm talking about in the size of a toke. But I mean, that was still a large exhale that I blew out, and it was a satisfying hit. Let's see, it's heated up again. Let's try it again. So that was a pretty long draw. It's a very satisfying vapor. And for harshness, it's so smooth. This definitely isn't going to be one that you hit hard today and you really feel it tomorrow. I don't think so whatsoever. Harshness knocks it out of the park. Probably the best I've used. Let's talk about the smell a little bit. It definitely doesn't have an issue where, you know, I find myself walking by it and I can just smell it when it's sitting there. I didn't find that whatsoever, but you are blowing out large exhales of vapor, so that certainly is going to have some smell to it. But it definitely doesn't just sit here and smell when it's on. I didn't really find that with this unit at all. So let's talk about the ruggedness a little bit. I mean, this is definitely something that I feel super confident about the build and the quality of the materials that they're using. It feels rock solid. The accessories are all solid. Like, even though they're plastic, they don't feel cheap whatsoever. That's always a bit of a danger with plastic. But I mean, it doesn't feel cheap whatsoever. So the ruggedness so far, I mean, I haven't ran into any problems, and it does seem to be a very rugged unit. So let's talk about the efficiency a little bit. Efficiency, you know, it's kind of like the battery life and all that sort of thing. It's pretty good. I don't find it to be amazing or blowing my mind or anything like that. You do put a reasonable amount of herb in here, and I don't find that I get more than 2 bowls out of it. So the efficiency, it's pretty good, but it's not amazing. I do definitely like how the ABV comes out looking. The ABV is super, super even every time. So the temperature control on here is very good. When that heater shuts off, you know, stop your draw, let it heat back up again, and just use it at that consistent temperature that you set it with. Let's talk about the stealth factor a little bit. Definitely not a super stealthy unit. Like, you know, I can almost palm it, but it's a pretty big item to have in your hand. You could definitely put this in your, you know, jacket pocket, backpack, anything like that. But putting it in a pants pocket is going to be out of the question unless you got some crazy pants on. So it's not, of course, designed to be a very stealthy unit. It's designed to give you the best vapor quality in a portable unit that you can. So let's talk about the effects a little bit. Effects on this are very strong. Like, you can take, you know, 7 or 8 big pulls off this, and that's going to get you ripped. So effects on this are as strong or as weak as you want them. But I mean, this is definitely a good unit for someone who's, you know, oh, I don't use vaporizers, I never feel it. Yeah, you'll feel it on this thing. And you can draw so hard and take a big satisfying toke. This is a good unit for a recent smoking convert turned to vaporizers. Now let's talk about price. This is one of the, if not the most expensive portable vaporizer that's on the market. So I mean, the Mighty is more expensive, but I don't really consider that because, you know, it's the same vaporizer, just bigger, slightly different sort of thing. So I mean, price, it's definitely not competing with anything. But, you know, I mean, this kind of stands in a different category. This truly is a premium portable vaporizer. It's something that people are going to buy if they have money to spend, and they don't really care if it has, you know, the best of this, the best of that, the best of anything else. But if you want just kind of the best vapor experience that you can get on the go, this is certainly a unit to consider. And while the price is high, I certainly feel like you're getting value for your money. I wish it had a user replaceable battery. I really, really wish it had that, but I understand constructions of devices has to be different if they're going to do that. But, you know, spending so much money, it is going to hurt when you have to send it back in a year or 2 years because you're not getting great battery life anymore, and they're going to have to replace it. So, you know, that certainly is a cost to consider, but, you know, the value that you're getting for this unit with the construction and all that sort of thing, the legendary Volcano Storz Bickel lineage, I mean, you know, you're not going to expect a unit that's going to cost $75. So let's talk about what I love about the unit here. The overall vapor quality is unrivaled. I really haven't used anything else that has this satisfying of a vapor, the low draw resistance, those big flavorful hits that you get from it. It truly is a premium portable vaporizer. The app, I think, is awesome. The app really adds to the experience, and it gives you a lot of flexibility and adjustments that you can do to the vaporizer without having, switches and dials and all that sort of thing. Like, it's one button. There's a couple different functions that it does. And then if you want to get further into it, you go into the app, you tweak it, and then away you go. Another nice thing about the app is the fact that it has sort of an odometer function on it. You can see how long the device has been used. They can theoretically update the firmware, all that sort of thing. So that's just a cool thing. It's sort of a brave new frontier, and I like how they implemented it. The Filling Aid is just, a brilliant addition. It just really shows the attention to detail that Storz & Bickel has, their focus on user experience, all that sort of thing. And honestly, I want to see other vaporizer manufacturers follow suit. Some things are just a bit of a pain. Like the Ascent, I find that really difficult to load. The Grasshopper, I wish it just came with a little spoon. I could kind of, scoop it in there, because people are figuring out ways to do it. Well, they figured out the way. They made it perfect. They made it easy. So this just, is a very Volcano-esque sort of a thing to include. Great job on this. The vibration when it's ready is just a nice feature. It's kind of like a beep, but if you're holding it in your hand, it's going to be fairly silent. Put it on a hard surface, it's not going to be. So it's just a nice way to let you know that the unit's heated up and ready to go. So let's talk about my gripes for the unit. It definitely leaks a decent amount of vapor when it's on. Like you can just see there's little tendrils of smoke going up. And of course that's, efficiency going up. That's what you're going to be inhaling going up. So, I guess it's just because it's the semi-conduction as well as the convection. I'm guessing that's, remnants of the conduction vaporization. I don't think you're losing more than, probably a toke per bowl or something like that if you kind of averaged out how much is in there. But, still, it definitely is something that would be nice to not see. I wish the oven could keep up with my draws a little bit. Like I mentioned, I can take some reasonable size, hits. I keep active and all that sort of thing. But when I'm trying to take a larger toke, this is not going to be able to keep up with me. So it hasn't ruined my experience or anything like that. I don't find that I have to go too small, but I just can't hit it as big as I would like to. So for the price, it's definitely slow to heat up and the battery isn't amazing. If the price was half of what it is, I would say, I wouldn't mention those things as kind of negatives, but, for something that's almost $400 Canadian at this time if you're buying it, I would expect the battery to be a little bit better, and I would really expect it to heat it up a little bit faster. So, that's definitely not something I'm super impressed with for the price. So let's get to my final thoughts about the unit here. While it's not perfect on a few things like battery life, heat up time, efficiency is pretty good, but it's not amazing. The vapor quality absolutely makes up for it. I don't think you can find another portable vaporizer, at least that I've tested at this point, that gives me as good of a vapor experience from this thing. The tokes are awesome. They're so good. If you've used one of these, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, I would recommend you try to get one and use one of them. They're very satisfying. They're large. They're flavorful. So while it is more on the expensive side, and it does have a few non-perfect things, battery life and heat up time being the main two that I noticed, I would wholeheartedly recommend it to anybody that's looking for a tremendously powerful, easy to use, amazing vapor quality experience in a dryer portable vaporizer. The Crafty is a great choice for that. So there you go, guys. That's my review on the Crafty. Keep it green, keep it sneaky, and we'll see you next time.